time to take on a Phantom you've all had a lot of questions about and talked about a lot in my comments. Because hello, I'm Jessica. I write Phantom books. This is Phantober, where I'm talking about a different version of the Phantom of the Opera every day in October. And today we're talking about the Phantom of the Auditorium. What is that? Not what you were expecting? And in general, we're going to talk about how the Phantom has shown up in kids' versions over the years. The Phantom of the Auditorium is the 24th book in the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine. The story of Phantom of the Auditorium is actually pretty creative and interesting because it's about a school doing a play called The Phantom, and everything gets really meta because there's characters named Eric, and it takes elements from all sorts of different Phantom versions throughout history. And there are actually two resolutions to the story. One is a red herring, that's sort of a Scooby-Doo, Claude Rains Phantom thing where there's a guy living underneath the theater. And the other one does something that few Phantom stories do, makes this a real ghost story. This whole subplot about how this play, The Phantom, is cursed because 70 years ago some kid passed away performing it, and it's true he did, and his ghost comes back to finish the role. And that makes this unique because it's one of the first versions of Phantom of the Opera where the Phantom is actually a ghost. And that's quite haunting. This version's been adapted to stage and screen as well. We have a Phantom of the Auditorium episode in the old Goosebumps TV series. And there's Goosebumps the Musical, which is Phantom of the Auditorium. Came out in 2016. Which means we have now covered fully 5 different musicals based on the Phantom of the Opera, and we're not done with musical versions. Tony's Dinner Theater will not get a full episode, though. Now, the Phantom story and the Phantom character has shown up in what we would call children's media a lot, actually. And in my favorite, Raoul is an absolute dog. Because he's a dog. Wishbone, the PBS series where a very cute dog guided you through classic literature, had an episode called Panton at the Opera, featuring my favorite Raoul of all time, Wishbone playing Raoul. Wishbone's version of Phantom was shortened and truncated, but it was actually surprisingly accurate and very sympathetic towards Eric. I loved it. And continuing a theme here, the makeup was better than Gerard Butler's, with a fraction of the budget. The parallel story in the real world was very, Scooby-Doo Claude Rains Phantom, about an angry librarian. There are Phantom kids books as well, like The Phantom Cat of the Opera, which is just like retelling the original but with cats. There's no point to it, but it's fine. There's also the Stepping Stone Classic kids version of the Phantom of the Opera that I read when I was 9. This book actually retells Eric's whole life in the first person, kind of like Susan Kay's Phantom. I preferred this Eric memoir, though, myself. It's just a strange coincidence considering this came out around the same time. But speaking of that book, I think tomorrow might be time to talk about it. Anything to avoid the rats. Cats over rats.